So, there's been a lot of weird fan backlash regarding the Galactic Star Cruiser lately, and Disney, in a weird move, pulled their latest promo video. What's going on? Hey everybody, welcome to the Dano channel. I am Dano, and I'm back again. We're going to be talking about the Galactic Star Cruiser. And of course, I've got a guest with me, the wonderful Sarah J. Mack. Welcome back to the channel.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Glad to have you here. And with there's a little something new down there that I wanted to talk about. What is that? I wanted to talk about that before we get into the discussion about the state of affairs with the whole Galactic Star Cruiser. So let me know what this whole princess and scoundrel thing is about.
Yes, so my husband and I are launching a YouTube or podcast, however you want to listen to it. It is called Princess and Scoundrel, where we take you from Fantasyland to Tatooine and everything in between. We're talking Disney, Star Wars, the parks. We're a young family, and so it's just going to be all of that and a little bit of like the business of why Disney does some of the things that they do. So very much inspired by you and your channel and coming on here and talking to you about these things, and figured, you know what? I think I could do this too. Maybe.
It's
so
fun.
We'll see. But yeah, this is it.
Yeah,
it's
so
fun. It's so fun so far.
You guys have your first episode, which is going to be about the Star Cruiser, right?
Yes.
No, actually, see, I say right like I haven't seen it. I've seen it. But it's not out on YouTube yet. When does that come out?
So the channel officially launches on January 11th. We will be talking about the Star Cruiser, talking about the experience of what the Star Cruiser is going to be like and how the immersive experience about it, which we touch a little bit on some of the feedback that's coming out about Star Cruiser, but just a little bit. I think that's going to be the main focus for what you and I are talking about here, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're going to be going over a lot of the feedback, the backlash, the blow-up, the misreporting and misinformation that's out there. We'll be tackling a lot of that today, because it's been interesting. Interesting, frustrating, kind of funny at times. It's been all over the place.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes, I guess.
Oh,
is
it does.
A good way to say it.
Definitely does. So where do you want to start on this?
So
I think you got negative feedback here, the reactions to the
I think let's dig into it.
So what's kind of funny, I don't know if any of you guys watched the live stream I did with Sarah, Mike from Hondo Supply, Ordinary Adventures, Brian from Always Believe. Towards the end there, Peter mentioned something kind of funny.
Are you at all worried of people using your video as an example of why this sucks and why this is bad? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
well, I am now. And as he said that, and as I was answering that question, a video that I had just uploaded, which was the welcome video that you get in your email if you've booked, and I don't know if they're still sending it. A lot of people are saying they are not receiving that video, but it's the video with the purple-skinned Mirialan woman from Chandrila Starlines who's welcoming us and letting us know kind of what this is all about. She's from the Starline saying, hey, you're going to be going on the Halcyon, this is your captain, these are some of the things you're going to be doing, you know, also it might go crazy, goodbye. Yeah, it's kind of a funny, quirky little video.
Right.
I thought it had very much Star Tours vibe, and if you know anything about me, I kind of love Star Tours. So I saw it and I kind of laughed. I was like, this is great, this is fun. The internet did not agree at all. And that video, it's kind of sad that that's like one of my fastest blown up videos, but not for good reason.
Yeah.
And, I mean, maybe I shouldn't have shared it, honestly. Looking back, I was like, yeah, as soon as I put it up online, like on YouTube, and I was like, okay, this will be fun. People want to know what this is. Now, Disney didn't put it on their site, but people are claiming that they pulled it. And I'm like, they never posted it. I posted it. And it got shared to outlets like Inside the Magic, who then get shared by other people. And I'm just going to come out and say it right now. The site Inside the Magic is problematic. Their track record for correct information is not great. They have some hits. They have some stuff that will be correct and will land. But man, oh man, is there some bad, like false, just terribly positioned stuff out there that they put out, and then smaller outlets will quote them and share it. And it just kind of becomes a false narrative. And that's kind of what we were talking about. The whole reason we wanted to do this video is that, like, wow, yes, there has been 100% backlash. There's been some cancellations, but is it as bad as they're making it out to be?
Right. And it was literally happening to you as you were like, well, that would be weird.
As I was saying that, I didn't know that in the background that video was blowing up because it had just been shared by Inside the Magic and then subsequently a bunch of other sites. So I'm like, oh, cool. Where's all this traffic coming from? And I'm like, oh, no.
What have I done?
Whoops.
Yeah. And again, one of those things that I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have shared it because I feel like if you get that in the email once you've booked, it's going to be a more special thing to see. And now it's kind of tainted and has all this, like negativity like buried into it. I mean, I see the comments that come through on it and they are brutal. A lot of people did not like that at all. I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, I get it. Everyone's going to take things as they want, but...
They are, but I think if you know Disney and you go to Disney parks, that's fully something that you would expect to see from a Disney attraction. Like, when I watched it, I was like, this just screams, like, pre-show. It is a pre-show. Like, that is 100% what it is. It's a Disney-fied version of a Star Wars attraction.
Yep. That's how I felt watching it. I was like, oh, they're establishing the brand Chandrila Starline's kind of like how they established Star Tours as a brand. Things are going to be kind of quirky and might go wrong. And I'm like, this is a cute kind of thing. And I think part of the problem is a lot of the Star Wars fans don't want cute.
And they don't know Disney.
And exactly, and they may not be super familiar with Disney or just be averse to Disney as a whole. Some of these people are just like, no Disney. If Disney's on it, I'm not going to like it no matter what. So that's fine, do your thing. But it is just interesting how that totally blew up. And some of the feedback on that's been funny because there's people who are like, she's a purple. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Her species, Mirialin or Miriarlin. Either Luminara Unduli, Barris Ophi, the ones with little diamonds. They were typically green and yellowish in Star Wars before. But as of Star Wars Resistance, the cartoon that is canon, came out a few years ago, takes place in the sequel trilogy, so a lot of people didn't watch it. Also, the animation style, which I thought was beautiful, turned a lot of people off. I like it. But the show is kind of, I'm like, as someone who has watched all of it, it's hard to get into. I think it's hard to get into. But one of the characters on there was actually a purple Mirialin, same member of the species. So all these people are like, that's not right. How could she be that color? Weird thing to complain about. Because how do you know? How do you know what color all these species are supposed to be? Like, we don't know any of that. The galaxy's huge. Of course it could be purple or green or yellow or whatever. We don't know because we haven't seen it. There's been no line in the sand drawn that says they are only this and that's it. We've only been shown that prior, sure, but that doesn't mean that that's it. And so seeing these people who are like, well, why is she purple? I'm like, well, actually, there's been a purple one prior a couple years ago. I even have a toy of it. That's how much of a thing it is. They made a toy. And it's like, well, I didn't watch that. It's like, I don't know what to tell you then. Are you still mad? Like, now, the biggest criticism that I actually do agree with on that video, though, is the background. The background was like a green screen, generic looking. It didn't look real. It looked like cardboard, but it was like the background wasn't good, and that I think gave the video a low production value. But I also don't think that video was meant to be more than just a quick, quirky 1-minute email. It wasn't meant as an advertisement. It wasn't meant to like, hey, you should spend all your money on this experience. It was like, hey, we're going to give you a little tidbit of story. Thanks for booking.
Right.
Which is, again, why I probably shouldn't have shared it. I really, like, looking back, I shouldn't have shared it. And I don't know, like, I don't want to take it down because it already exists and the feedback's out there. And I'm like, well, just for the public record, I mean, it doesn't hurt.
But people aren't getting those emails. Like,
they're not. That's the other part.
There is an issue just generally with, like, Disney and making sure you get all of your emails or your mail from Disney. Some people get them, some people don't. And so the fact that you put that out there may have been beneficial for somebody that was going on a voyage and didn't receive that email.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. And some people have been like, well, Disney pulled it, and they didn't pull it. It's actually
they never put it up.
They never put it up, but it is still hosted on their website. You have to have the link to find it, But if you go to the email and you open up the email and click the link, it still takes you to the go.disney. whatever. It still works. It's still hosted. If you have the link, it works. So they didn't pull it, but they did pull the one video that we've talked about this before. They did pull the one video with Sean Gembrone and Anne Morrow Johnson with the singer Gaia and all that, and that was poorly received. And we still don't know why. We don't have an official word why.
Yeah.
And I've heard rumblings in different directions as to why. Of course, the easy, quick thing is to say, oh, well, it was so bad and they didn't like the feedback that they pulled it because it was so bad. Which is actually not characteristic of Disney at all.
No.
They'll take bad feedback all day.
Yeah, they will. And
something.
if you pull something, there had to have been another reason why they pulled it. Because
it looks worse.
It looks worse. And Disney knows what they're doing when it comes to publicity.
They 100% know that. And so it was one of those, they had to pull it kind of things. And from what I've heard, there's some business workings in the background that might have affected that. But we won't know, and they'll never confirm it. So it's one of those things that, because there's no concrete answer, no matter what side of this thing you're on, you can tweak it to your narrative however you want. Well, it looks bad, so they pulled it. Or, well, maybe there's other reasons, so that's why they, whatever. So it was interesting they pulled it. It was a bad look, and they know it was a bad look. And I don't think, even though there were some missteps in making it in the first place, I don't think they're that oblivious to the fact that it would look way worse to pull it. So, yeah.
Do you think they're punishing us a little bit by not giving us anything lately on Star Cruiser?
Well, I wouldn't say punish. I think, like, if that was me, that was my job. I was the person in charge of marketing this thing, and I saw how badly it's blowing up. I would tread very lightly. I don't know that I would say, oh, we're not giving them anything. I would say anything that we put out has to be perfect, and we need to run this by 8 billion people and, like, test this before, I would step very lightly. I would be just really trepidatious on all of it and be like, look, I don't want to mess this up further. No matter what we do, it's not landing right. Let's let the mystery build, let things cool off a bit, and as these upcoming, we're going to get the test runs from cast members are coming up very soon, stuff like that. So, which means it's almost done. Because in the video that they did take down, you pointed out to me in the background, there was a big giant curtain blocking the atrium. And I feel like if that released in November, they probably filmed it in late October, and it wasn't done ready yet. So we're seeing footage of something that wasn't done and ready yet. And I mean, I'm with everyone who says it didn't look great. I agree. It didn't look great. It didn't. But I think it's going to be better in person. So that's where I'm at on it. I'm not all fire and brimstone. And even though I can say, like, look, it didn't look great, people still be like, oh, well, you're just getting paid by Disney to say it. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, it
would be nice.
Yeah, right. If they want to pay me or give me a free trip or whatever, I'm into it. I will definitely, do it. But I'm still going to give real feedback on how I feel about it. Either way.
Yeah.
So if it sucks, I'm going to say, yeah, no, this part sucked. One of the things that I've heard, and I don't have it in I'm kind of going to surprise you with this a little bit, but I've heard we're not going to, no, not too bad. But I've heard rumors going around that we're not going to be able to film or have cameras out for certain experiences. That was the wording I was given. And I saw a couple other places report saying for certain experiences, you're not going to be able to have your camera out. They're going to give you like a talking to when you check in, saying something about not having earthly belongings, like cameras specifically. I think probably like a wink, like, hey, keep some of this hush-hush, which I think is understandable. Some of the stuff like the big finale, maybe they don't want that spoiled because it's going to be probably a pretty special moment. And if they, it's one of those things where it's someone who wants to share this with the community and like, because I'm going to be on one of the first voyages, I do want people to know, is this worth them putting their money towards? Good or bad. Like, I have no dog in the fight other than I want to enjoy myself. I want to have fun when I go. I'm paying my way, so I do want to enjoy myself and have fun. But when it comes to coverage of it and what I say on this channel, if it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, I'm going to tell you it's good. Like, either way, but I think there's going to be some stuff we're not going to be allowed to share. And That's going to be hard to do. Like, I'm nervous about that. I'm like, oh no.
You know what though? I think it's a good thing. I think it's a really good thing that we're not going to be able to share every single thing of it, because I think one of the really nice things about Rise of Resistance, people don't share every single thing about that experience. Now that we're like a few years out from it opening up, we've seen it, but people took a lot of care not to spoil that for other Star Wars fans, and I think that was really cool. I think what it's going to be tricky, right? We want to make sure that we're going and experiencing it and recommending it to people if we think it's worth the money, because it is a big price tag. But you also don't want to ruin the experience before other people get to go on it. So I'm good with it. My fear is that they say don't record. Well, they're going to say don't record. We can talk about it, I'm sure. But I don't want to like give anything away that we shouldn't be giving away ahead of time.
Absolutely.
But
like,
it's
going to be
here's the other thing. We know there's going to be like holograms, right? Like there's Holo Sabacc. And then if you look at the concept art of the bridge, there's like this huge table that's like got holograms in it.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of the areas that they're not going to let us record, because it will reveal the magic in some way.
Yeah.
Like
or it won't
no
even
flash
show up
photography.
well, depending on how it. Yeah, true. You don't want flash in any of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it may not even show up well on video, depending on how it, you might get a lot of flicker depending on its frame rate of how it's showing stuff on the hologram end. So yeah, it could just look bad on video.
It could, but the hologram or the table looks like it's a 360 table that you can walk around.
Yeah, it looks like
whereas on Rise of Resistance, there's a very specific vantage point that you're viewing that from. Yeah. So it's okay that you're recording it from that angle, like the Pepper's ghost and everything.
Yeah,
I'm curious how they're going to do that here on
true.
Star Cruiser.
And another part that I'm really worried about is during dinner. We know we're going to have entertainment, and part of that entertainment is story. There's going to be hints in the songs, they've said, that are going to be part of the story. So I would imagine they don't want us recording that either, which I'm fine with not recording the that's my guess. I have no confirmation or anything. I'm guessing they will ask us not to, because that could technically spoil it for people who want to, go later. I don't know. But either way, my whole worry is I'm not going to be able to record the food and drink because it's during the entertainment. And honestly, that's like, to me, that's one of the things I'm really, really looking forward to, is all this crazy outlandish food and wild drinks. Because that's fun. To me, that's building the world. As much as the set around us is going to be building the world, the tastes, the smells, the textures, because they're going to be weird. That's what feels like Star Wars. That's what I love about Galaxy's Edge, is the weird foods. When it first opened, like, some of the most fun I had was going to Docking Bay 7 and trying everything. Now the menu's been like sliced down quite a bit, and it's still fun, but I really thought that the food and drink, the weird textures, and just the love they put into the food and drinks is one of those things that always made me feel like Galaxy's Edge was really cool. And so that's one of the things that's kind of top tier for me right now going into this, is I hope I can still record the food. I mean, still pictures will be fine if that's what it is, but I want to be able to, like, if it's bubbling and moving or something, I want to be able to show everybody, like, dude, check this thing out, it's alive, or whatever. And I'm hoping I still get to do that. That's one of the things that I'm really nervous about right now.
I love this very weird and specific fear that you have about not being able to film your food.
I really want to show off the food. I do. Because, I mean, we've heard they have the weird flake thing. We talked about that, the weird, like, moving, whatever. Yeah, I know there's going to be things that bubble, things that move. Clever ways of doing Earth food, but with different... That's going to be the fun.
I think it's going to be fine. Because also, keep in mind, what you're hearing are rumors. It's not confirmed.
And that rumor,
that's just the whole theme of today. Is
these rumors, and the rumors get completely blown out of proportion.
Exactly, like
completely out of proportion. So one of the big rumors that is going around a lot right now, if you go to YouTube and you type in Galactic Star Cruiser, most of the videos you're going to see are going to be about how the reservations are being down 50%. That there's 50% cancellations. Half the people have canceled. And that is so wrong. That is like false wrong.
Dude.
And again, this starts with Inside the Magic. I tracked it down. I was like, where did this come from? How did this start? And it starts with Inside the Magic. And you get a lot of those videos here on YouTube. A lot of these channels aren't doing their own due diligence to look and to see any, like, they'll read the headline and they'll read a little bit of the article, and that's it, and they stop there. And so I do have it pulled up. I've got the Inside the Magic article pulled up, the one that talks about reservations being down 50%. I'm going to pull it up on screen here. And so it does say, as backlash continues, reservations are down 50% for Star Wars Hotel. I say I've got an unsure feeling about this. I am not going to read the entire article. Just like I said, no one else does here on YouTube, so why should I? But we've got their calendar, and basically what the article is saying is that 50% of the days have openings. That is what they get to. They're saying 50% of the days show openings, which is correct. I mean, I didn't go one for one and count, is exactly half the days open? I didn't do that. But just looking at the calendar, as you can see it does look like about half the days have openings, which would be one thing. But the article's saying that 50% are cancellations. Whether that day has an opening or not doesn't mean that it's fully canceled. It just means it has at least one room available.
Exactly.
So it could
and
be
that's
99% booked, and many of them are.
That's exactly what it is too, because it was right before Christmas. I had a client that had 2 cabins in May. They needed to move their voyage, and they were looking for somewhere in like April, May, maybe early June. I could not get them a voyage from April to June to switch their 2 cabins because only one room was available for all of those days. This was right before Christmas. Turns out I was able to get them a Grand Captain suite in March instead, which was perfect, but that was one room that was available, and we sold out that day afterwards. So when you're seeing all of these rooms become available, it literally is one person canceling, and not necessarily canceling from backlash either. They're canceling because, well, for many reasons, but one of the big ones that we've talked about is final payments are coming due. Final payments are fully due for the month of March now. And now we're getting into the April voyages, and that's a big chunk of money, and it came due at Christmas time. Like, that's a lot to pay during Christmas and all at once. So people are
they should have honestly timed that a little bit better, but right? I mean, because we all spend a ton of money on our families. Like, that's just what happens during Christmas, and to have to cough up the rest of your trip. Because like most people probably only put the 20% down, and then the rest is due like a week or 2 before Christmas. Oh no, maybe I push that off a little bit. So there's various reasons, that and all the news about the new variant that's going around, and some places are closing down. You hear rumors of big cities like New York, no theaters, stuff like that is going around. There's closures everywhere. So some people are saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't travel right now until we know that things are going to be better by then. So there's all manner of reasons for the cancellations. And speaking of the cancellations, I did want to show and pull up the dates change. So this is the calendar they were showing from March 22nd to March 22 to May 22. And if you go look at the actual calendar, some of the dates change. Some of them have more openings, sure, but the dates are changing and they're fluctuating. So it might be that one day had cancellations, and then the next day was full, and it's going to change tomorrow, and it's going to change the day after that, and it's going to keep opening up and closing. But because there's an open area, it doesn't mean that nobody's going. Doesn't mean it's canceled. But when you put canceled on a thumbnail and you put failure on a thumbnail, it sells, it gets people's attention, and people want to be outraged. And here on YouTube specifically, the algorithm favors that kind of content. It really does. Because it gets people riled up. It gets people commenting. And if people comment and watch the whole video, that's how YouTube works. Watch time, retention, engagement. And so YouTube sees that, and it says, that's going to be, when you look up Galactic Star Cruiser, that's the stuff that people are engaged in. And so that's what becomes the top thing. And it's always going to be an uphill battle for anyone trying to just point out, like, the reality of the situation. Is like, a lot of those days do have openings, but why are you guys not mentioning that they're still like 95 to 98% full?
Because they're not doing that research themselves.
And
Honestly, you're
yeah.
looking at a calendar on a website and you're saying, oh, there's availability. Reservations are down 50%. I can tell you for a fact it's one room, maybe two rooms that are available for each of these days. It is not, because I have a list of clients that want either captain's table or suites, and it's all throughout that booking period. And so every single time I call in, I run through and I say, do we have captain's table for this date, run through that list, suites. It is incredibly rare that I can get captain's table or suite upgrades for any of my clients.
So
they are still booked up.
Speaking of clients, and I didn't prep you with this question before, so I'm just curious. This might be too much, but I'm just curious.
Okay.
How many cancellations have you had as a travel agent? Or do you have like a ratio, like a percentage? Like, what is your cancellation rate? I'm sure you've had some or moving. Like, can you give me a rough estimate of what your cancellation rate's been?
I've probably had a cancellation rate of 2%.
Okay.
2%. And one of them wasn't even truly, I would say 2% is like the honest one. You could maybe say 4%, but they had two voyages at two different times scheduled and decided to go with the later one because of the pandemic. They were like, well, if we push it out and we go later, they had a better room. They had captain's table. They had better stuff on the later voyage. They're like,
but they kept the second one.
They kept the second one, yeah.
Okay.
But they were like, I don't really want to wear a mask if I don't have to on the earlier one. So let's wait and see how it looks for the second voyage. And so they just let go of the first one. But they knew that going into it, that they were only going to do one or the other. So that one I don't count. The other one, I did have literally one that canceled that was like, I'm not sure yet.
And that's fair. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who are canceling, like are actually canceling for those reasons. And that makes sense. And I get it. If you're still like, not sure about this, then yeah, maybe cancel. That makes perfect sense. But what's interesting to me is how those dates fluctuate so much. So that means if somebody cancels, there's other people who are like, well, if an earlier opening is there, give me that one. And so they'll swap over to the earlier date, and then we have an opening over here. And so the calendar's constantly doing these little minor changes as things open up. And to say that it's down 50% is just disingenuous. And I feel like any of these channels that are, I'm not going to call them out by name, but I'm just telling you, if as audience who are watching this, if you're following any of those channels or if you've watched those videos and taken that stuff seriously, you need to know that channel does not care enough to give you proper information. They were just like, yeah, no, headline, that's what it says, fine. Without not even doing research, but if you read the actual article, it just says 50% of the days have openings. And that's where they stop. Even Inside the Magic didn't talk about the actual day-to-day percentage. They just said 50% have openings, so it's a failure. Anyone with a little bit of common sense would be like, well, that's not truly reflective of the situation.
It's definitely not. It's not at all.
Because anyone who regurgitated that, to me, is like, okay, well, they don't actually care about having the information right.
Yeah.
And so I kind of have to discard those channels. And it sucks, but, because some of them I like. Some of them, and some of these channels I know personally and have met personally and am friendly with. And I just see them reporting stuff that's wrong, and I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I will say that I have had more clients that are moving their voyage dates to sooner voyages than I have. I have not had anybody push their voyage out further than what they have. They've only moved it up to like March.
They saw the openings and took them.
They're taking them. And I have people that are like, if something sooner comes up, please book this for me. I'm like, okay, I gotcha.
And again, as of right now, March has one date open. That's the end of the month, the 31st. And I wonder, I'm sure that'll change a little bit, but we're kind of in this weird zone right now where we're so close because we're inside 60 days now for the earlier March ones.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So, for the first 3 voyages, as of right now, tonight, we're today. The third voyage is 60 days out.
How does that work if, let's say, somebody does cancel, since we're in the 60 days, that person cancels, they lose half their money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
If you
if there's
cancel
an
your reservation
opening-
completely.
If there's someone who does that and there's an opening, does someone have to pay in full or pay? Yeah, does someone have to pay in
Yes.
full? There's
Yes.
no 20% deposit because we're closer than 90 days. So they just
Yep,
have to
they
pay
pay
in
in
full
full.
if they want it. Interesting.
I think I've had 3 people that have done that, and they've had to pay in full already because they were within the 90 days.
That's crazy. So one thing I think we're going to get a little bit more. You asked me earlier, like, why are we not seeing any updates from Disney? And I'd mentioned
Yep.
the test voyages are coming. We're going to start getting
They are.
cast member previews, and I'm just going to do a little self-serving here. And if any cast members want to invite me, I will leave work. I will fly out there and go.
Wait, me
just so I
too.
can see yes, both. It's a package deal.
Yeah. I was gonna try to high five you, but I never remember. It's
Oh
that
no,
way.
me either. There you go. But we're gonna get cast member previews soon, which
Yeah.
let's be real, is gonna be a little bit biased. They probably work there, and like they're gonna be happy to be there. But I've had actual cast members reach out to me, a couple of them, and tell me that they're thankful of someone with a level head talking about this stuff instead of it being all pitchforks and torches.
Yep.
And
I've
they've
heard that
also-
too.
And the thing that I've heard mentioned a few times is the videos that were shown don't do it justice. What we've seen is nothing like what it actually looks like and it feels like inside.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's kind of what I thought from the get-go. Was like, yeah, the marketing looks bad. So, like, anyone who has that criticism, I'm with you. I agree with you 100%. It has not been great. But I have a feeling, man, it really does look good inside. And once we're there and we get the smells is the thing for me. It's good.
Clearly, it
It's
is.
gonna, we're gonna get the smells, the taste, all of it. It's gonna be a full sensory experience. And
It will.
one
It will.
thing that they haven't shown well is the play. They showed the Josh D'Amaro doing the lightsaber training, but honestly, for me, that was kind of a minor thing. Even though some people think of me as like a lightsaber channel, which is weird. I mean, it's not weird. I guess I do a fair amount of lightsaber toy stuff, but I don't
too.
consider myself a lightsaber channel, which I guess might also be weird. But either way, the training was not something I was super looking forward to anyways, because it is kind of a weird idea that, like, at that point, there aren't really Jedi, so why are we training with lightsabers? But it's also Star Wars.
I think
so
we're gonna
kinda have
learn.
to.
You
Yeah,
have to.
Exactly.
But they're
exactly.
gonna
There's
gonna build
be
a
some
story around it.
element, some reason that we're there to do the training. They're gonna come up with something, and I'm really curious as to how they sew that into the story. But the story is the part that a lot of people are still not considering, and there's a lot of these intangibles that are hard to put a value on. So when people just see tiny room, which I'm hearing the rooms are tiny, but it's a cruise. All cruise rooms are tiny. It's supposed to be it's normal. Like, that's what it's supposed to be. But
The other thing is, like, you're not going to be in your room. Like, this is a whole
Yeah.
experience and a story that you're living out for 2 days. You're going to be in your room to sleep and to, suit up. And that's it.
yeah. No,
What do
I
you need?
am. It might be weird, but I am gonna try and find whoever is on our cruise who's staying in the captain's suite. I want to meet them and say, "Hey, can I film in your room?" Might be a little strange.
Yeah.
But I
We're
wanna
we're
show
a
off-
package deal, though.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
I want to go in there.
High five again.
Oh,
Boom.
yeah. That was it.
But I want to see that stuff. I want to see just what the room.
I want to
looks
see
like.
the Galaxy class suite, too.
Yeah, I kind of want to see them all and just be like, well, this is because we know in the rooms we can take pictures and video and everything, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in the atrium we'll be able to as well. One thing that I've also heard and seen is that we are getting the aliens. Previously I was like, they better have aliens. Dang it.
Right.
I am hearing rumblings that yes, there will be aliens that roaming around in the atrium that are not the main characters we've already talked about.
Oh, are
So-
those like the roamers that we saw, like all the DCP kids that are getting? Oh, that's fun.
There's gonna be more than I was worried there was gonna be. I was worried it was just the characters we went over with like specific names and all that stuff. And I'm sure they have names too, but there's gonna be more than just that. So,
Dude, they're
I
gonna
am-
knock it out of the park. Like, I am not at all concerned, like, in the slightest about this. They have to knock it out of the park. It's
They have
Disney.
to.
Like,
I mean, this story thing is the cruise. The whole story element is what we're paying for. And again, like I said, it's hard to put a value on that. A lot of
it
people
is.
can't. I mean, even I can't wrap my head around what that's actually going to be worth, and I won't know until the end. And it's just going to be all these crazy memories of like, oh man, when we did this, and we were sneaking around doing that. And I feel like the more you put into it, the more value it's going to be for you at the end of it.
Hmm.
So if you're not wanting to play and you do think of it as just it's just a hotel, it's probably not for you. I mean, you can go and enjoy it if the rest of your family wants to go and like enjoy it. You're still going to have fun and eat good food and see
Yeah.
cool entertainment and laugh and enjoy yourself. But I really do think a lot of that value or a lot of what you're paying for
Yes.
is going to be that individual experience depending on how deep you dive.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Actually, I did talk to a cast member today, and they said that the more that you interact on that Play Disney Parks app, the more opportunities you will have to continue your story. So, if you are going to go do it, make sure you got that Play Disney Parks app. I feel sound like a broken record. Make sure you have that Play Disney Parks app on your data pad, whatever it is, if it's a phone, an iPad, and use it, because the more you use that, the more you're going to get pulled into this overarching story that they have there.
awesome. So yeah, I'm still excited. I'm still net positive. I'm still going to be talking about this info when it comes out wrong. Someone's got to, because
You have to.
None of these other channels like care enough to even like try and put 2 cents in them. They're just like, "No, it says
Honestly,
it's
like,
bad. I'm gonna just repeat it." It's like, what?
yeah. And
Why?
it breaks
Do you
my
not care about
heart,
your audience?
honestly.
Like,
It breaks my heart, like, to open up YouTube and just see all of the negative backlash about Galactic Star Cruiser, because it's not even out yet. Like, it's not
so-
out.
So to that, a lot of the people who are like, "Oh, well, you're just getting paid. You're just doing it for money, and like Disney's paying you or whatever." Because I do see those comments all the time.
Right.
One thing that people should know is that negative content sells. Like that negative content gets interaction, gets more view. I could sit here and just be awful all day and get thousands and thousands and thousands of views easily. No problem. I could use the same formula of thumbnail that they do. Canceled. Picture of the captain. It's the same thing over and over. You just type it up, look up Galactic Star Cruiser. You see the same people doing the same thing, feigning outrage, or maybe they are actually outraged, which is fine. But that's the content that actually gets money and sells. And you got to wonder if they're not actually giving you correct information and they're just doing the thing that sells, who's being disingenuous? Who's, like that's what I wonder. I'm like, oh, how, you're just doing what's going to get traction on YouTube. So if anything,
That's a good
I'm
point.
fighting an uphill battle, like by making content that's like, you know what, I don't like the marketing, but I'm still optimistic. I'm not going to get nearly as many views if I were to come on here and say it looks like it sucks and it's awful and I hate everything. And so it's just
Yeah.
one of those funny things that people just don't realize. Like, oh no, it's it's way easier just to be negative.
Which is just sad, right?
It is
I-
sad, and that's
it's
not
very
just regarding this. That's regarding anything.
I know. I
Any
was thinking that. I was
content
like,
on any social media platform, negativity will always win the day. And even these articles from anybody,
any media, not even social
whatever it
media.
is,
Like,
it's
when
how
I-
the internet as a whole works. And
It
that's
is,
just that's
which
just
is-
where we're at now. So I mean, I'll
which
keep
is sad.
fighting the good fight, I guess. I mean, but again, like if it sucks and I don't like it, I'm gonna say so. Like I have nothing, nothing to lose. But if anything, I have stuff to gain.
Yeah,
By being
they have your
outraged
money
and mad.
already.
They already have my money. Yeah, like if I want, I can go and just be like, it was terrible, it was awful. People will love it. It'll get hundreds of thousands of views, and
Yeah,
I'll
but
get a
that's-
check from YouTube a month later. But I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
still,
getting
I'm
paid
gonna-
from. Yeah, you're not getting paid by Disney. You
Oh,
like,
not at
if
all.
anything, it's
Not at
YouTube.
all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just
But-
kind of one of those funny things that I don't think a lot of people
There need-
realize.
There needs to be more, not even positive content about Galactic Star Cruiser, but there just needs to be
Fair.
more neutral, fair content
Fair
about Galactic
content.
Star Cruiser.
Reporting actual information instead of weird, like looking at numbers and skewing them to fit your narrative. 'Cause
Well, the
that's
thing is,
gross.
it's like, it is gross. And like, the wait times to call into the Star Cruiser agents, it's not what it was when we first started booking this stuff.
Oh,
Like, you
yeah.
can call in and get right through. So if you really wanted to fact check, you could do it very easily.
Yeah, and
Very
I'm sure
easily.
it's going to change. So there's going to be people like, well, there was 3 rooms available on this day. So you check in a week, there's going to be 1 room. You check in a week, there might be 5. You check the day later, another 1 again. You know, it's going to fluctuate all the time depending on what time you call, what, you know.
Yep.
But it's not down to 50%. That's the main point of this. There's a lot of just disregard. Like, if one of those channels you're watching and they say that, just remember that that's one piece of their content. Think about what the rest of their content might be as well, and just keep that in the back of your head, because sometimes their stuff's silly. They just do stuff for clicks.
You're on the attack, man.
You know what? It's just like, I'm not mad at the channels that do it. I'm mad that people are getting bad info and it's ruining their time. You know,
That's
I'm
what
more
makes me
mad-
sad.
That's the part that I don't like. Is it like people who don't research this stuff, don't spend every day of their, you know, waking life doing Star Wars like I might.
Whoops.
You know, like, no, but not everybody has time to do that, to sit there, you know, like, and follow all of this stuff to a T. So
No, it's a lot.
it's a lot. So when this info comes out, and most people will only read a headline, that's what sticks. And it doesn't matter if it's correct or not. And that's when I get like, okay, we need to make this clear. Like, and that's not just Star Wars stuff. That's how I am with everything.
But-
I'm like, all right, you're skewing the information.
Yeah. But the frustrating thing is, like, you know, when Galactic Star Cruiser was announced and when the booking opened up and everything, everybody was super excited for it. Like, we were all like, oh, that's a big price tag, but this is going to be awesome. And then as we've seen sneak peeks and there's been the negative feedback, it just kind of brought down the vibe for everybody a little bit.
Everyone. Yeah.
For everyone, even the people that are excited about it, like you and me. And it's like, I'm not going to be deterred. I'm not going to let anybody else's opinions impact how I feel about it. But it feels like now we are fighting a battle against other Star Wars fans.
It's weird.
And
It's
why?
So weird. It's weird.
Why?
Yeah.
It's so weird. So it's
Like,
almost like,
Yeah, people are like verbally attacking me because I'm like, yeah, I agree the marketing sucks, but I still think it'll be cool. And that's not enough. It's one of those things like, well, no, I said I agree. It's like, yeah, but you're not throwing a fit. So
Yeah.
you must be paid off. It's like, I said I agree. I don't know what you want from me.
there was one comment that was like, oh, well, you must like the sequel trilogy.
Of course. Of course.
I was like, what?
And I get that too, that not everybody does, and this is definitely set in the sequel trilogy, so that's going to turn off that chunk of people that don't, you know, that don't like the sequel trilogy. But the weird part is, because of these channels that I was talking about, if you look at their most popular videos, and this is another way to tell who they are, you go look at their videos on the YouTube tab, you hit most popular, and you see what kind of trend forms. And if it's relating to Star Wars, you'll usually see big bold letters like canceled, failure, picture of Kathleen Kennedy, picture of J.J. Abrams. You know, like, it's the same formula, the same thing over and over. You know why they do it? Because it works. Because it works. It's so easy to just do that same thing over and over and just be mad about stuff because it works.
Yep.
And it's it's just funny. It's like, okay, no one wants to be fair. Outrage sells.
Yeah, that's not cool. But it's tricky even for us because, like, we see the negative backlash and it's like, okay, well, what are people saying? So then we have to go watch the videos and
Yeah.
then we're giving them views. So
Yeah.
I usually don't. I usually like hang on it so you can see the thumbnail and it like cycles through and does a little preview.
Sure,
I'm
you
like,
can see a little
that's
bit of it,
enough. I know
Yeah.
I know what direction you're going in, but I'm not gonna click into it because that's just feeding it.
Yeah. It is.
We don't need
It
to
is.
feed that. It's not open yet. Like,
I know,
why are
that's the other
people-
part. Like, we've seen like a little bit of unfinished
much.
rooms.
Yes.
That's all we've seen is a little bit of unfinished rooms. It's like, no, that's not good enough. I hate it. Wow, really? Just from that? Like, do you live
Yeah.
your whole life like that? Because-
I hope
wow.
I hope we're not having the same conversation in like 2 months. We're in this weird limbo
We are
state
It's a
right
weird-
now.
This is the Empire Strikes Back portion of it, right? We're in that weird, like, everything's gone bad, kind of, and like
Yep.
we don't know what to do. We're just kind of like, oh crap, things aren't looking the best right now. But who knows?
Yeah.
We could all
I'm
end
excited
up
still.
doing a big Yub Nub celebration in March. You know? And
No, it's
either way, I'm still excited. I'm still
me
happy.
too.
Everybody, check out Princess and Scoundrel. What did you say, January 11th?
January 11th. I hope that's the
January
right date.
11th, the first.
Yeah, it's January
the first
11th.
episode's coming out. And
Yep.
again, it is a video version of your podcast.
Yes. So
That's what's on
yes.
YouTube, but then you have the podcast, which is another
Yep.
place.
So you can listen anywhere you get your podcast. You can absolutely just tune in if you just want to listen to audio and zone out. But if you would rather watch our faces have this conversation, you can absolutely do that on YouTube. Princess and Scoundrel will launch January 11th. So excited.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Hit the thumbs up. Share this video if you want a little bit, like if you want to share this level-headed content with other people. If you're sick of the outrage, that's the moof milkers I'm talking about. You know, at the end of these videos, when I say don't be a moof milker, that's who I'm talking about. Be the spark. Inspire people to do something cool, to be awesome, to not be awful.
Oh my God.
That's how I'm ending it. That's it. This is over. Thanks you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.